Welcome back to season 3, episode 6, of Will Talks About Games. I'm Will, and I'm here to talk about video games, on the nose, right? So I know you're sitting there tripping like, wow, you dropped another one of these this past week. Yeah, so number one, I want to make up for taking so long between episodes 4 and 5, and also this is the Game Awards post game. So like every year I live stream the Game Awards, and then usually during that weekend I do a video about some of the bigger announcements that I was interested in. Now usually when I do these, I usually just hit record and then just go by train of thought. But this time I scripted part of it, mainly the announcement section. So there's a ton of stuff that I wanted to go into. Now I'm not going through every announcement here. There's some stuff that I left off because I wasn't interested in, or I didn't really want to give it that big of a segment. And there are a few things I'm going to speak on toward the end of the video, but here are 15 picks, and we're going to jump right into it. Now, for those of you not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I implore you to go there and hit that big red button so you can join the Mafia. I do game reviews, previews, documentaries, and other great stuff. So if you're watching YouTube and you're not subscribed, or you're watching from somewhere outside of YouTube, then the link to the channel is in the link tree that's in the description. So now that that's out the way, we're going to get started. First up, we got 2 new Star Wars games on the way. So if you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to be eating good in the future. Casey Hudson, director of the classic Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, along with Mass Effect, was on hand to announce Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, or whether he's directing this game. Fate of the Old Republic is an all-new role-playing game set in the Old Republic timeline. Obviously, we didn't see much gameplay from the trailer. It was just a short teaser, and the game is presumably early on in development. So no doubt we're going to learn more about it throughout the next several months. But still, I know a lot of longtime Star Wars fans are going to be very excited about it. Knights of the Old Republic originally came out in 2003, and that was developed by BioWare, and that was when the company was at its height. Or before the company was at its height, because this was right before Mass Effect and Dragon Age and all that stuff. So the game took place thousands of years before the movies, and the game was praised for its story, its writing, and its gameplay. So a lot of people were even talking about that if the game had, if the people who had written Knights of the Old Republic had written the episode 3 or the prequel trilogy, then they would have turned out much better. Your mileage may vary on that, but it is what it is. So a sequel came out the following year, and that was developed by Obsidian, who you know from like Fallout New Vegas and a bunch of other games from recent history. Of course, everyone loves, well, Fallout New Vegas, Outer Worlds, and a ton of other games. So it didn't really, the game really didn't hit the same as the original one, mainly because there was some content that was cut from the final release. It was still a fan favorite title, and you had a lot of mods that, at least on the PC version, had restored a lot of the cut content. So in 2011, BioWare would launch the Old Republic, which is a massively multiplayer online game, which took place 300 years after the events of Knights of the Old Republic. So from what I understand, the game is still going as of today. So a remake of the original Knights of the Old Republic was announced back in 2021 with Aspire at the helm, and that was supposed to be a PC and PlayStation 5 exclusive. Unfortunately, that ended up being delayed indefinitely, and the dev team was switched over to Saber Interactive in 2022. So there's still no word on when or if this is coming out. So the new game, Fate of the Old Republic, is being developed by Archanaut Studios, which was an all-new studio that was founded earlier this year. And Fate of the Old Republic is slated to be a spiritual successor to the Knights of the Old Republic games. So the game's going to have an all-new storyline with all new characters, and you're not going to have played the previous games to enjoy this one. So again, we're going to learn more about the game throughout the next several months, and I know a lot of old school Star Wars fans are going to want to play it, are anticipating this. So that's not the only new game that's coming out. So Fuse Games, which is an all-new studio formed in 2023, by ex Need for Speed and Burnout developers, revealed Star Wars Galactic Racer, which seems to be a spiritual successor to Star Wars Racer, that old school pod racing game from way back. So the game takes place after the fall of the Empire, and you're racing different types of repulsor craft in a story-driven campaign, or there's also multiplayer modes, and you're racing through the Outer Realm, and this is like an underground racing tournament. So the developer promises that no two runs are going to be the same. Now the game is slated for release next year on pretty much most major platforms. You can check out the game's Steam page right now. Now I know a lot of people piss and moan about Disney Star Wars, but one thing you can't deny is that we've been getting a lot of content since Disney took over, whether it's TV shows. We've been getting everything but movies, because I know we're supposed to have that Mandalorian movie drop like next year or sometime. We've also been getting a lot of games, and we've been getting different types of games. You know, the Souls-like Star Wars Fallen Order, the open world game Star Wars Outlaws, and Star Wars Squadrons, and now we're getting a racing game and an all-new role-playing game. So maybe sometime down the line we could see them do another RTS game, or, you know, hey, even have another crack at a fighting game. Again, if you're a Star Wars fan, you got a lot to look forward to. I can't see anyone being angry about this. Of course, we got the usual suspects complaining about wokeness, but the rest of us, we're waiting for all this new stuff that's going to come out very soon. Next up, we got another 2-for-1 deal, this time being the return of the Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. So Crystal Dynamics was on hand to show off not one, but 2 new Tomb Raider games. First up, you got Tomb Raider Catalyst, which is an all-new game that's going to see Lara Croft travel to northern India to discover the secret behind a cataclysmic event. She will also have to deal with a rival relic hunter. Now the interesting part is that this game is taking place after Tomb Raider Underworld, which was released in 2008, and that was before the 2013 reboot. So Underworld itself is a sequel to 2006's Tomb Raider Legend, which basically revitalized the franchise. Now Catalyst isn't coming out until 2027. However, we're going to have something to tide us over in the meantime. Amazon Games and Crystal Dynamics also announced Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, and this is a reimagining of the very first game from 1996, which is being done in Unreal Engine 5. This is going to be the third time we've seen an update of the original game. Now, if you remember, the first time we saw the first game being revisited was 2007's Tomb Raider Anniversary. So this was a remake of the original game, and it came out in 2007, and it had like updated gameplay and updated graphics. And also it was basically made to tie it into Tomb Raider Legend. So it was a prequel to Tomb Raider Legend. So basically with Tomb Raider Legend, so you got Tomb Raider Anniversary, you got Tomb Raider Legend, and Tomb Raider Underworld, and this was what's known as the Legend Trilogy. Now, on the flip side, the original Tomb Raider, I'm talking about the PlayStation 1 game, you got 2, 3, The Last Revelation, Tomb Raider Chronicles, and Angel of Darkness. This is what's called the Classic Era. And then of course you got the 2013 reboot, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and that is the Survivor Trilogy. And of course last year you had the remaster of the original game, so which is basically the original PlayStation 1 game but with updated graphics, improved controls, and quality of life updates. And of course this was also included with a remastered version of Tomb Raider 2 and 3, and of course earlier this year you've got remastered versions of 4 through 5, you know, Last Revelation and all that stuff. So at least this new game, Legacy of Atlantis, this is going to be an all new game, but it has the same storyline as the original Tomb Raider. So like think of this the same way you would think of the original Castlevania and Super Castlevania 4. They're basically the same game as far as the series' storyline, but they're both completely different titles. But right, so interestingly, The Legacy of Atlantis and Catalyst are going to tie in both the Legends trilogy and the Survivor trilogy. So it's like the Survivor trilogy is basically a prequel to the Legends trilogy. And I think all the classic Tomb Raider games are going to be restored to series continuity. So yeah, basically Crystal Dynamics is using these new games to tie the franchise all together. And of course, beyond those, you got like the arcade style games, Guardian of Light and Temple of Osiris. And also you got a ton of mobile games too. So like Lara Croft Go, Relic Run. I'm sure all these fit in somewhere. But again, if you're a Tomb Raider fan, then you got some pretty cool stuff to look forward to these next couple years. Next up, we're going to talk about an update to Marvel Rivals. So Season 6 of the game kicks off January 16th with none other than Deadpool being the newest hero being added to the game. It was a matter of when rather than if the Merc with a Mouth was going to join the game, and he'll be here in about a month. So if you think about all the Marvel characters who would fit perfectly in this game, Deadpool is no doubt one of them. So the new season is going to be entitled Night at the Museum, and the trailer showed Deadpool fighting Frog Thor, Cap Wolf, and Devil Dinosaur. So I wonder if this is part of some kind of game mode, maybe a new addition to the game's lore, or maybe these are going to be costumes, or they're maybe hinting at other characters that could join the game. Still, I'm interested in seeing where this goes, and at the end of the trailer we saw Elsa Bloodstone, so she's going to be joining the game later on at some point. So Marvel Rivals just keeps getting bigger, it keeps expanding, and every once in a while I like to jump back in. So I can't wait to play as Deadpool. I can't wait to see where else this game is going to go in the future. Hopefully we can get NFL Super Pro in the game, because that guy will be a perfect fit for Marvel Rivals. But anyway, we just moving on right now. Next up, we're going to talk about Bradley the Badger, and this is going to be one of my dark horse games for next year. The game is a platformer developed by Day 4 Games. Now, I don't want to say that I'm not into platformers, it's just one of those genres that I got to be in the mood for at the time. But this is something that I'm definitely interested in checking out. So the trailer was showing off Bradley, which is a mascot who would fit right in with the PlayStation 2 era. So he's waking up and looking to start his journey. But he ends up being thrust into a world that looks like Bloodborne. And basically the level is called Badgerborn or something like that. I forget. So next he ends up in a cyberpunk world, and then he ends up in a zombie outbreak, not unlike The Walking Dead. So basically you're going through all these different game worlds, and it's kind of like a homage or a satire or maybe some kind of meta commentary. But the cool part of the game is that you're going to come across various art assets that aren't finished. So Bradley has this device that he can use to like hack these devices and add in textures, change their sizes, change their properties and stuff. And that's how you're going to move around the levels. So Bradley can transform himself, so you might have to do that to get around certain levels. So of course, me working in IT, like this strikes very near and dear to my heart. Now the really crazy part is that toward the end, he wakes up as a human being in a game development studio. So Lord only knows what this is going to mean. So again, Bradley looks like it's part meta commentary and part satire, and it kind of reminds me of that game Conker's Bad Fur Day. Its Steam page is up right now, so it's going to come to PC sometime next year, and it's safe to assume that it's going to come to consoles sometime afterward. Also, Quicksilver actor Evan Peters is doing his voice. So it's got a little bit of star power too, so that is Bradley the Badger. Definitely something I'm keeping my eye on next year. Next up, we're going to talk about that weird ass statue that we saw leading up to the Game Awards. We finally found what it is, and I guarantee you, whatever you were thinking it was going to be, it was wrong. I know everybody was talking about a new God of War, Doom, a Diablo expansion, or pretty much anything. But I guarantee you, whatever you were thinking of, you were wrong. So Larian, which is the team behind 2023's biggest game, which was Baldur's Gate 3, showed off Divinity, which is the next game in their computer RPG franchise. Now the trailer was showing some pretty nasty stuff. You got this guy being burned alive, Wicker Man style. You had folks apparently having some kind of orgy, and you had the townsfolk seemingly celebrating. So there's a lot of darkness going on here. Now for those unfamiliar, the Divinity series began back in 2002 with Divine Divinity, a Diablo-style action RPG. The game would spawn a number of sequels and spin-offs, including Dragon Commander, which is a real-time strategy RPG hybrid. The last game in the series was 2017's Divinity Original Sin 2. Now this new game is going to be entitled just Divinity. Now obviously there wasn't much revealed about the gameplay except for the trailer. Now the developers say that the game will be even bigger in scope and looks to be more ambitious than Baldur's Gate 3. Now if you want to play this series, all the previous games are available on GOG.com and they might be available on Steam too. So if you're into Baldur's Gate 3, you're going to love this, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go with this new game. Baldur's Gate 3 was a very huge game. It was very significant to the genre, and I know a lot of people are going to want to check this game out too because it's the same developer and it's the same genre. Now of course it's going to be a while before we see more of it, so again, check out the series itself to see what kind of stuff that you're going to get into with this new game. Speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, Wizards of the Coast, the owners of Dungeons & Dragons, got two things that are cooking for you guys. First up, Archetype Entertainment, a new game development studio made up of veterans from BioWare, 343 Industries, Electronic Arts, Naughty Dog, and a ton of other AAA gaming studios, were on hand to show off Exodus, an action role-playing game that's definitely giving off Mass Effect vibes. You play as a being called the Traveler, and you are humanity's best hope against a race of aliens known as the Celestials, so it even has a similar plot to Mass Effect. Now the gameplay shown in the trailer definitely looked familiar. The player character made use of guns, and they also had superpowers that they were using. Now the developers certainly have a high pedigree behind them, and of course we're going to learn more about the game throughout the next year. Now the game isn't set to launch until 2027, so there's still a ways to go. Now with BioWare, the next Mass Effect game still in development, we're going to see how well this is going to shape up as far as similar gameplay, or if it's going to do something different, or maybe it'll stand on its own right. But again, I am interested in this. I'm a fan of sci-fi. I liked Mass Effect, and this will probably be the closest we'll get to a new one for a while. And plus, they're doing an original IP, so that's always cool. Now, that wasn't the only thing that Wizards of the Coast had to show off either. They showed off a quick teaser for a game called Warlock Dungeons & Dragons. Now, the game will have a proper gameplay reveal next summer, and the game is set to launch in 2027. All we really know is that there's a female character, and it has something to do with warlocks, the warlock class in Dungeons & Dragons. I remember playing Neverwinter Nights 2, and of course Baldur's Gate 3. My character's a warlock. So yeah, it's kind of annoying when you see reveals like this. They'll show cinematics or teasers, but you have no idea what the game's going to be about. Last time I remember this was Crossfire X. That was way back in 2019 where they showed this cinematic, but it was up to you to figure out what kind of game it was going to be. Now if I had to guess, I think this is going to be an action RPG, kind of similar to Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. And obviously you'll be playing as a warlock, or at least so I think. So again, there's not much revealed about the game now, and of course we're going to learn more about it next summer, presumably during Summer Games Fest. But moving on. Alright, I have to grab some water because this is starting to make my throat parch, but whatever, we're going to move on to the next. Orbitals is going to be another sleeper hit for next year. Developed by Japanese developer Shape Farm and published by Kepler, Orbitals is a co-op Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive that's set to launch next year. So yeah, we got a third-party Nintendo console exclusive. Those are words I never thought I would utter in 2025, but here we are. And it looks pretty cool too. It's got a anime aesthetic. It kind of looks like old school 70s manga. Matter of fact, I'm looking at this article and it says that the developers have partnered up with Studio Masket, who is a storied Japanese animation house. So they're going to be handling the game's graphics and cutscenes. Also, the game is going to be utilizing stuff like Game Share and Game Chat. So it's going to take full advantage of the Switch 2 hardware. So you can have local co-op or you can have online co-op. So this basically looks like It Takes Two, but with Akira Toriyama style graphics. So I'm definitely digging this, and like I said, this is going to be a sleeper hit for next year. So I'm definitely going to check it out next year when it drops. So next up, I want to talk about Gang of Dragon. This is the first project from Toshihiro Nagoshi, who formerly worked at Ryo ga Gotoku, which is the studio behind Yakuza, aka the Like a Dragon franchise. And basically from the trailer we saw, it looks like it's going to be a bloodier version of Yakuza. So you're playing as a Korean gangster known as Shin Ji-sung, S-E-O-N-G, I know I messed up that pronunciation, and he's putting in work in Kabukicho, and I know that's another one I messed up. Anyway, it's in Shinjuku, Tokyo, so he's getting himself involved in Japanese underworld politics. Now, Shin is being played by none other than Ma Dong-seok, aka Don Lee. He was in Eternals, he was in Long Live the King, he was in Train to Busan, and tons of other great Asian films. And you can see his presence in the game's trailer. Now, the game looks like it's going to feature gunplay, it's going to feature fighting, and it's going to feature driving. So, of course, no release date has been set yet, and it's going to launch on PC via Steam, but no word on if it's going to come to other consoles. I'm pretty sure it will. Of course, we're going to learn more about the game throughout the year. So this is another one that I think is going to be another sleeper hit, especially if you like Asian action films, and if you like the older Yakuza games where it was still about fighting rather than turn-based stuff. Like obviously, I like the Like a Dragon films as they are now, but I also like that old school beat 'em up type stuff. There's Stranger Than Heaven, which is the game formerly known as Project Century, that is from Ryo ga Gotoku, and that's basically another beat 'em up crime style game that takes place in 1943. So it's good to see like all these new scenarios and these new backgrounds and these new settings. We got straight up Japanese action coming your way with this Gang of Dragon. So this is another one I'm looking forward to. Next up, Remedy announced the sequel to its 2019 game Control, which is inspired by SCP lore. Control Resonant is going to take a completely different direction from its predecessor. Basically, it's an action RPG with gameplay that looks a lot like Dark Souls or Devil May Cry or pretty much other hack and slash titles. Now, Control Resonant takes place 7 years after the original game. You take control of Dylan Faden, who's the younger brother of Jesse Faden, and he has recently awoke from his coma. Now, Dylan has to do battle with creatures that are mutated by the Hiss, which was a mysterious phenomenon that caused the chaos in the first game. The Hiss has spilled out of the oldest house and onto the streets of Manhattan. So Dylan is going to be making his way through this weird ass nightmare fuel version of Manhattan. He has a transforming melee weapon known as the Aberrant, and he's using it to do battle with his enemies. He'll also be able to make use of supernatural powers, and he'll be able to customize his build. Now, the developer states that you won't have to have played the first game to understand the second game, even if the two are related. Also, remember, this is the same universe where the Alan Wake games take place in. So, I like that, like, even though like these are different game, like even though like these are in the same universe, these are like different types of games. Control basically was this thriller style game, which kind of has like Metroidvania style mechanics. Alan Wake 2 was this horror game. The original Alan Wake was this mystery style game, and now you got this hack and slash action RPG. Now the game is tentatively set to launch next year for PC, Mac, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series S and X. I like the first game, and I can't wait to see where to go with this next one. Next up, we're going to talk about Order of the Sinking Star, which is the newest game from Jonathan Blow, who is the creator of Braid and The Witness. Order of the Sinking Star is a puzzle game that combines Sokoban style pushing gameplay with fantasy RPG archetypes. The game takes place in an interconnected world where you play as several different heroes, each with their own gameplay mechanics. Some of these heroes include a warrior, a queen, a thief, a wizard, basically characters you'd see in your average role-playing game. And another one of the heroes is a talking boat, So you got a talking boat in the game. I think that is a first. Now the game promises over 1,000 puzzles to solve, and as you solve these puzzles, the world is going to merge and more of the game's mystery is going to be revealed. Now The Witness had puzzles and gameplay that really challenged players and made them think. And of course, Braid was that puzzle platformer game that had that plot twist that people are still talking about to this day. As much as I love my shoot 'em ups, my role-playing games, my action RPGs, my hack and slash, I also like puzzle games because they make you think. And Order of the Sinking Star is going to be more of that. Jonathan Blow is one of the masters at this genre, and I can't wait to check this out. The game is set for PC release in 2026, and there are going to be console versions coming out after that. Next up, the return of Mega Man was announced at the Game Awards. Mega Man Dual Override will be the franchise's first new mainline game since 2018's Mega Man 11. We saw a few seconds of gameplay. It's going to be two-dimensional like all the other games that came before it, but who knows what else is in store. Now the game isn't set to launch until 2027, and Capcom is having a design contest where fans can potentially design a boss for the next game, just the way Capcom used to do it back in the days. Now, interestingly enough, 2027 is going to be the franchise's 40th anniversary. Damn, it's that old. It's only like 5 years younger than me. Now, rumor has it, Dual Override might not be the only new Mega Man project. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. Now, the name Dual Override kind of makes me think we might be seeing maybe a two-player Mega Man. Who knows? It'll probably have that old formula where you go beat the boss, try to find a formula, take their weapon, and try to figure out who it works best on. But who knows where it's going to go from here? I know Capcom had said that they wanted Mega Man to be one of its core franchises, so it's good to see that they're finally coming back to it. I love Mega Man, and I can't wait to play this new game. So it's going to be 2026 is going to be one long ass wait of a year. Speaking of Capcom, the company also revealed another trailer for Resident Evil Requiem. Now it seems like Grace Ashcroft isn't going to be the only playable character in the story. Leon Kennedy is returning to the game, and he looks older than he did the last time we saw him. So it looks like his portions of the game will be more action focused, while Grace's sections will be more about exploration, puzzle solving, and evading enemies. So of course the two are going to meet throughout the story, and of course there's going to be a big mystery behind what's going on. As you know, the game involves a return to Raccoon City after it was blown to smithereens after the big zombie outbreak. So of course it's going to be interesting to see where the game's going to go. Now we also saw one of the game's villains, or maybe the main villain of the game, and this is a mysterious man named Victor Gideon. So he's wearing some weird goggles or something, and he's connected to Umbrella. Now this is definitely going to be one of next year's biggest games, and it's coming out on February 26th. We already had Silent Hill this past year, so it's only fitting that we get a new Resident Evil game, because the kings of survival horror are coming back. So it's going to be here in only a little over 2 months, so no doubt I can't wait to get my hands on this. One more dope Capcom related announcement: Devil May Cry Season 2 is coming to Netflix on May 12th of next year. Yeah, I know fans were divided about the first season, but I enjoyed it. I liked its take on the franchise, I liked the storyline, and of course the ending of Season 1 set up an interesting plot line for the next season. So we know Virgil's going to show up, Johnny Young Bosch is going to return as Dante, and we're going to see some more 2000s new metal in the game. I just hope that they swap out that opening soundtrack, the opening track, because Roland from Limp Bizkit just wasn't it for Devil May Cry. But yeah, Devil May Cry Season 2, I'm excited about it. Next May can't get here soon enough. Now I know Capcom showed off a trailer for the new Street Fighter movie. I got my own thoughts about that, and I might do it as a separate video, who knows, but I'm gonna leave that off this list for now. I'm gonna get back to you about Street Fighter. Moving on though. Next up we got a Total War announcement. Creative Assembly and Dave Harbour from Stranger Things and the MCU were on hand to reveal Total War Warhammer 40k, the latest entry in the long-running RTS franchise and the first one to feature the Warhammer 40k license. Now there have been 3 Warhammer games in the Total War series already. This is the first one involving the sci-fi spin-off. So of course with Total War Warhammer, it was only a matter of time before we saw 40k, but still, you love to see it. Now no doubt the game's campaign is going to involve the Space Marines, the Orcs, and other factions from the Warhammer 40k universe, and also there are going to be some customization options for things like banners, gear, and emblems. Now I'm a casual Warhammer fan, I love playing some of the video games, but it's going to be exciting as hell to see these big, huge space battles the way Total War does it. So no doubt a lot of Warhammer 40k fans can't wait to play this game, but of course there's the other shoe dropping, because there's going to be, as you know, there's going to be a ton of DLC for it. The Total War games are notorious for this, and of course there's no doubt they're going to nickel and dime folks, but still I can't wait to play this game, and I know a lot of Warhammer 40k fans can't wait to play it either. Finally, Neon Giant, the team behind 2021's top-down cyberpunk shooter, The Ascent, were on hand to reveal their next game, No Law, which is a cyberpunk first-person shooter. Taking place in a city called Port Desire, No Law puts players in the shoes of Gray Harker, an ex-military vet who tries to build a life for himself when he's attacked by the city's gangs. Now he's out for revenge against the city's underworld. No Law promises to build upon the cyberpunk themes from The Ascent, and the developers promise a story that's going to be shaped by player choices. The game is heading to PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S, and although as of now there's nothing said about the release date. Of course, this is another thing that I see is going to be a sleeper, and no doubt I can't wait to learn more about this game. So that's No Law from Neon Giant. Alright, so now that all that's out the way, I want to talk about some other announcements from the Game Awards. I don't want to say I didn't care for these, but I just didn't. But to me personally, I didn't think they were as big as the stuff that I went through, but they might be of interest to some people. So first of all, the big end of night reveal is a free-to-play hero shooter called High Guard. High Guard is being developed by Wildlight Entertainment, which is a studio that was founded in 2021 by former Respawn Entertainment veterans. So these were guys who worked on stuff like Apex Legends and Titanfall, and they've been working on the game for the past 4 years, and they revealed the title at the Game Awards this past year. So obviously the game, a lot of people weren't particularly happy about this. They were expecting like something bigger, maybe the return of a huge franchise. I can't say I blamed them, because like you got another hero shooter, and already people are comparing it to Concord. Now, unlike Concord, this is going to be free to play, so at least they got the good sense to not charge for it. Now, it's set to launch on January 26th next year, and interestingly enough, this is going to be in version 1, not early access. It's coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox. So I guess the big thing is that what's it going to do to set itself apart from other hero shooters, and can the game survive more than a month, 6 months, a year, or whatever. So I guess we'll see how things turn out on January 26th. Now, sliding back to Capcom, and no, I'm not talking about Street Fighter. Pragmata finally has a release date. It's coming on April 26th next year to Steam, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch 2. So, also there's a demo that's available right now on Steam. So as you know, the game was originally announced back in 2020. It was planned for a 2022 release. And Capcom kept delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. So now it's finally set to see the light of day. Hopefully, the developers took all the time they needed to make sure the game was optimized and has good gameplay. So if it does, we could be seeing the birth of an all-new franchise from Capcom. Speaking of new game releases, South of Midnight, which took home the award for Games for Impact, it will be coming to PlayStation 5 and Switch 2 next spring. So it will formally launch earlier this spring as an Xbox and PC exclusive. But like Microsoft's been doing a lot, Microsoft's been bringing a lot of their games to other platforms. So it wasn't much to imagine that this game will be going that same direction. And I will say that for those of you who don't own an Xbox, if you only got a PlayStation 5 or a Switch 2, then you are in for a treat. The combat is serviceable, it does the job, but the real strength is the game's music and its story. It's very emotional. It'll make you tear up. Plus, props to developers for making the main character something other than a Nathan Drake clone. But yeah, if you want to play South of Midnight, then it's coming to PlayStation 5 and Switch 2. Kudos for Compulsion Games for developing this awesome game, and kudos to Microsoft for bringing it to more players. Of course, if you do got an Xbox or a PC, you got Game Pass, you can pretty much play it for free, so check it out. Alright, now speaking of games with unique protagonists, Wildflower Interactive, which is a new independent studio which was formed by Naughty Dog veteran Bruce Straley, was on hand to show off Coven of the Chickenfoot, which is their first game. Now, in Coven of the Chickenfoot, you're playing as an elderly woman with chicken feet. So yeah, there are very few games that you play as an older woman. So yeah, this alone is definitely unique. They are being accompanied by a large, weird-looking creature. So I guess this creature is going to help you traverse the environment, protect you from the enemies, and even help you solve puzzles. So it's coming to Steam, and you can wishlist it now. And of course, there is no firm release date. But the protagonist, the gameplay, and the graphics all look unique. So if you're looking for something different, here you go. Check it out and support it. Again, Bruce Straley was a veteran from Naughty Dog, so he's worked on games such as Uncharted and The Last of Us, so he's definitely got a pedigree behind him. Finally, I want to talk about Decrepit, which is a first-person action RPG with Souls-like elements. It's developed by one person, and the trailer that was shown at the Game Awards looks amazing. So it's a first-person action game, and your goal is to try to escape a forsaken castle. Of course, you'll die, and you'll die plenty of times. And of course, in true Souls-like fashion, you get stronger and stronger. So you can adjust your build with equipment that you find. So the trailer definitely gave off King's Field vibes, and I dig that. The game definitely looks amazing, and knowing that it's developed by one person just makes it all the more amazing. The game's set to release next year. If you go to their Steam page, you can sign up for a playtest. So that is Decrepit. Well, you know what? Before I forget, congratulations to the developers of Clear Obscure Expedition 33. They cleaned up with a ton of awards at the Game Awards, and I can't even be mad about it because the game is an incredible title. It looks like there was a lot of focus on indie titles at the Game Awards, or at least mid-tier, middle shelf games. And I definitely enjoyed that because people are afraid that the AAA market is going to explode, but there's a lot of cool creative stuff coming from the indie section and coming from the underground. Matter of fact, Schedule 1, which is one of my favorite games from this year, it didn't get a nomination, but I recommend everyone check that out. So anyway, if you made it this far and you're on a platform that allows comments, I want you to do me a favor. Go to the comments. That is, if you're on Spotify, YouTube, or if the platform that you're watching this on allows you to submit comments, I want you to go to the comments and drop the name of an announcement that you enjoyed the most. It doesn't matter if I went over it or if I didn't. Just let me know what announcements from the Game Awards that you enjoyed. Me, I just went through 15 of them. Well, actually more than 15 because I combined a few, but you get the picture. So at the beginning of each year, usually on New Year's Day, what I like to do is I like to drop a video with 20 games that are coming out that year that I got my eye on. So of course, who knows what's going to happen throughout the year? Like some of these games might be delayed, others might be canceled, and then there are those games that pop up out of nowhere that no one's expecting, but yet everyone's enjoying. And I've been doing this since 2020, so I got a whole playlist of these things. So you can go to YouTube and check them out and see how things measured up against my predicted list. And no doubt I'm going to be doing another one for 2026 on the 1st of the year. So again, go to my YouTube channel and check those out. For those of you watching on YouTube, the playlist just popped up on your screen. And for those of you listening outside of YouTube, check it out in the description. Anyway, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Audi 51000G Kinfolk.